The stars shone brightly above the Lunar Gateway Station. Captain John Miller stood by the observation window, his eyes fixed on the blue marble of Earth hanging in the darkness. The year was 2087, and humanity had spread its reach to Mars and Europa. It was a time of growth and hope. Then the alarms sounded. Captain Miller to the command center. The voice on the speaker system was calm but urgent. John ran through the curved hallways of the station, his heart beating fast. In the command center, screens showed several large objects entering the solar system. These objects moved in ways that human ships could not. "What are we looking at?" John asked the room of worried faces. "Unknown vessels, sir," said Lieutenant Greg Peters. "They appeared near Neptune less than an hour ago. They're moving toward Earth faster than anything we've ever seen." Word spread quickly across Earth. News channels showed the same images over and over. Strange, dark ships, each one bigger than the largest human city. They took position around Earth like a net ready to close. World leaders called emergency meetings. Military forces went on high alert. Regular people looked up at the sky in fear. The UN Security Council gathered in New York. The room was tense as Secretary General Diane Rodriguez spoke. "We need someone to make first contact. Someone who can speak for all Earth." Ambassador Lisa Grant was chosen for the task. She had helped solve the Mars crisis 5 years earlier. Now she faced something much bigger. The aliens allowed a single shuttle to approach their main ship. Lisa sat straight in her seat as the shuttle docked. Her hands were steady, but sweat formed on her forehead. The meeting room inside the alien ship was large and cold. Lisa waited until tall figures entered. They had gray skin that looked like stone and 4 arms. Their eyes were black with no white parts. "I am Overseer Krell of the Draxian Fleet," one said in perfect English. "I speak for the Galactic Hegemony." Lisa introduced herself and asked why they had come to Earth. Krell made a sound like stones grinding together, perhaps a laugh. "Your planet has been noted by our scouts. The hegemony extends its rule to your system. You are now subjects of the greatest empire the galaxy has known." Lisa kept her face calm, though her stomach turned. "Earth is an independent world. We would welcome friendship and trade, but—" "You misunderstand," Krell interrupted. "This is not a negotiation. The hegemony rules over 10,000 star systems. You will comply or face destruction. What exactly do you want from us?" Lisa asked. "Tribute," Krell answered simply. "Resources and labor. In return, you receive our protection." Later that day, Lisa reported to the emergency UN meeting. The room was silent as she explained the Draxians' demands. Earth would provide thousands of people as workers and a large portion of its metal production. Every year. "They've given us 1 month to deliver the first tribute," she finished. President Rick Howard of the United States stood up. "And if we refuse?" Overseer Krell showed me recordings of planets that refused, Lisa said quietly. There was nothing left but rubble. Admiral Paul Bennett, his uniform decorated from the Martian War, spoke next. "What are our military options?" The room erupted in argument. Some wanted to fight. Others thought resistance was suicide. A few suggested giving the Draxians what they wanted. Meanwhile, scientists Kate Lewis and Alan Wright worked in a lab beneath Washington, D.C. They studied readings from the alien ships. "Look at this energy pattern," Kate pointed to her screen. "Their shields flicker when exposed to certain radiation levels." "Could that be a weakness?" Alan asked. Kate nodded slowly. "Maybe the only one we'll find." As night fell across Earth, people looked up at the new stars in the sky, the watching ships of the Draxian fleet. No one knew that beneath the panic and fear, a plan was already forming. Humanity had never been good at paying tribute, but they had become very good at building weapons. The silver shuttle carrying Ambassador Lisa Grant docked once again with the Draxian mothership. This was her 3rd meeting with Overseer Krell in the week since first contact. Each time, she felt the same cold dread in her stomach. Two Draxian guards led her through hallways that seemed to shift and change. Their stone-like skin made soft clicking sounds as they walked. Overseer Krell waited in the same large room as before. His 4 arms were folded across his chest. "Your leader's delay," he said without greeting. The hegemony grows impatient. Lisa kept her voice steady. "We are organizing the tribute as requested. Our world has never faced such a demand before. It takes time to select 10,000 people and gather the medals you want." 1 month, Krell reminded her. "Not a day more. And to ensure you understand the seriousness of our demand, I will show you more clearly what happens to those who defy us." A wall of the room became a screen. It showed a planet much like Earth. Then came flashes of light. When the image cleared, the planet's surface was broken and burning. "This was the world of Terex 5, Krell said. "They refused their tribute 3 cycles ago." Lisa forced herself to watch. She needed to remember every detail to report back. While Lisa gathered intelligence from the Draxians, Admiral Paul Bennett worked in a secret base beneath the Rocky Mountains. Maps and screens covered the walls. Military leaders from around the world surrounded a large table. "The Draxians have positioned 7 major ships around Earth," Paul said, pointing to red dots on a display. "Their weapons could destroy our major cities in minutes." General Carla Martinez from Brazil stood up. "My country is ready to contribute forces to whatever plan we create. But how do we fight ships that size?" "We don't," Paul answered. "Not directly, at least." He brought up images sent from scientists Kate Lewis and Alan Wright. "Our scientists have discovered something important. The Draxian shields have a problem with certain types of radiation, the same kind our nuclear weapons produce." In a laboratory on the other side of the country, Kate Lewis rubbed her tired eyes. She hadn't slept more than 4 hours at a time since the aliens arrived. Alan Wright handed her a cup of coffee. "The simulations are complete," he said. "Standard nukes won't work. The radiation effect isn't focused enough." Kate nodded. "That's why we need to modify them. We need to maximize the radiation burst while minimizing the explosive force." A new voice joined their conversation. "I think I can help with that." They turned to see Dr. Wei, who had just arrived from China. With him was American engineer Sam Carter. "We've been working on similar research," Sam explained. "If we combine our findings, we might be able to create exactly what you need." The scientists got to work immediately. They had less than 3 weeks left. On the surface, Earth appeared to be preparing to comply with the Draxian demands. News reports showed volunteer centers where people supposedly signed up to join the tribute. Medals were being gathered in collection points. It was all for show, deep underground and in secret facilities on the far side of the moon. Humanity was preparing something very different. Ambassador Grant met with the United Earth Defense Council to share what she had learned. The room was filled with military leaders, scientists, and government officials. "The Draxians are confident," she told them. "They've done this to countless worlds before. They don't expect resistance." "That will be their mistake," Admiral Bennett said. Dr. Wei displayed the plans for their modified nuclear devices. "These will create a radiation surge that should overload their shield systems, but we'll need to get them close to the Draxian ships." A woman stood up from the back of the room. It was Olivia Clark, a civilian engineer who had designed stealth systems for satellites. "I think I know how to do that," she said. "I've been studying the way their sensors work. There are gaps we can exploit." For the first time since the Draxians arrived, people in the room felt a spark of hope. Earth would not go quietly. Earth would not pay tribute. Earth would fight back. The moon's far side was busy with activity that no Draxian could see. Admiral Paul Bennett walked through an underground base carved into lunar rock. Workers moved quickly around him, carrying equipment and checking systems. "How many ships do we have ready?" Paul asked his second-in-command. 32 stealth vessels, sir," replied Colonel Nancy Reed. "Each one can carry 3 of the special nukes." Paul nodded. It wasn't much against the massive Draxian fleet, but it was their best chance. And Major Mitchell's team, training day and night. They'll be ready. Major Frank Mitchell and his Special Forces team practiced in a mock-up of a Draxian ship, built based on Ambassador Grant's descriptions. They moved quickly through the strange hallways, learning to use stolen Draxian weapons. Again, Frank ordered after their latest drill, "We need to do this in half the time." His team was tired but determined. They knew that if their mission failed, Earth would either become slaves or be destroyed. Back on Earth, Olivia Clark tested her stealth technology in a hidden facility under the Pacific Ocean. Her small ship slipped through the water without making a sound or leaving a trace. If it worked against Earth's best detection systems, it might work against the Draxians. "Run it again," she told her team. "We need to be sure." In Washington, scientists worked around the clock. Kate Lewis hadn't seen the sun in days. She and Alan Wright had moved their beds into the lab. Dr. Wei and Sam Carter worked beside them, testing each new design. "The radiation output is still not focused enough," Kate said, looking at test results. "Maybe we're thinking about this wrong," Sam suggested. "Instead of one big burst, what if we created a series of smaller pulses?" Dr. Wei's eyes lit up. That could work. Their shields might adapt to one pattern, but multiple changing patterns. They got back to work with renewed energy. While scientists and soldiers prepared, regular people faced difficult choices. Some believed the public story that Earth would comply with Draxian demands. Others sensed something else was happening. In small towns and big cities, people packed emergency supplies and made plans to reach underground shelters. They did this quietly, trying not to show fear to the watching eyes above. Ambassador Lisa Grant continued her meetings with Overseer Krell. Each time, she asked more questions and gave fewer answers. "Your tribute preparations seem slow," Krell said during their 6th meeting. "Perhaps you need a demonstration of our power." "That won't be necessary," Lisa said quickly. "The first group of workers will be ready next week, and we've already collected 60% of the required metals." Lisa knew she was walking a dangerous line. The Draxians needed to believe Earth was complying, but not become suspicious about how easily humans accepted their fate. After the meeting, Lisa returned to Earth and went straight to the Defense Council. "They're getting impatient," she told the room of leaders. "We may not have the full month we were promised." Admiral Bennett stood. "Then we move forward with what we have. How soon can the nuclear devices be ready?" Kate Lewis looked tired but confident. "The first batch is already done. Dr. Wei and Sam are finishing the final tests now." "And my stealth technology works," Olivia Clark added. "We can get close enough to deliver the weapons." Bennett turned to his screen showing Major Mitchell on the moon base. "Frank, is your team ready?" "Yes, sir," Frank answered firmly. "We can deploy in 24 hours. Then it's time to finalize Operation Thunderbolt," Bennett said. "We need a detailed plan for how we hit all 7 Draxian ships at once." The room was quiet for a moment. Everyone understood what was coming. Earth was about to fight for its freedom against an enemy that had conquered thousands of worlds. But Earth had something the other worlds didn't: a stubborn refusal to surrender, and a talent for creating weapons that could destroy planets. The countdown to humanity's biggest gamble had begun. The United Earth Defense Council gathered in their underground chamber. Maps of the solar system covered the walls. Red dots showed the positions of Draxian ships. Blue dots showed Earth's hidden forces. Admiral Paul Bennett stood at the center of the room. "Operation Thunderbolt is ready. We strike in 3 days, just before the tribute deadline." He pointed to the main display where a detailed plan appeared. "We'll use Olivia Clark's stealth technology to get our ships close to the Draxian vessels. Each target will be hit by multiple nuclear devices designed by our science team." The room was silent as everyone studied the plan. They all knew the risks. If it failed, Earth would face destruction. President Rick Howard spoke first. "What are our chances of success?" Kate Lewis stepped forward. "The radiation burst from our modified nukes should disable their shields for at least 6 minutes, but we need to hit all ships at nearly the same time. If one survives with working communications, they could call for help from the rest of the hegemony. Admiral Bennett nodded. That's why timing is critical. Major Mitchell's team will board the lead ship to disable their communication array while the nuclear strike occurs. Frank Mitchell's face appeared on a screen from the moonbase. My team is ready, sir. We've memorized the ship layouts Ambassador Grant provided. What about civilian protection? Asked General Martinez. We've quietly moved millions of people to underground shelters, Hall answered. But we can't evacuate everyone without the Draxians noticing. Our best protection is a quick victory. Ambassador Lisa Grant had been quiet during the meeting. Now she spoke. I'm scheduled to meet with Overseer Krell on the tribute deadline. I can serve as a distraction. That's too dangerous, President Howard objected. It's necessary, Lisa insisted. If I don't show up, they'll be suspicious. I need to be there, acting as if everything is normal while our attack begins. After more discussion, the Council approved the final plan. Operation Thunderbolt would launch in exactly 72 hours. In the science lab, Dr. Wei made final adjustments to the specialized warheads. Each one was smaller than a regular nuclear bomb, but designed to release a precise pattern of radiation. Will they work? Sam Carter asked as they sealed the last device. In theory, yes, Dr. Wei answered honestly. But we've never tested them against actual Draxian shields. Sam nodded. So it's a good guess, but still a guess. The best guess we can make with the data we have, Dr. Wei said. Across the world, Earth's military forces prepared without alerting the watching Draxians. Submarine fleets moved silently into position. Fighter pilots waited in hidden bases. Earth would need every weapon if the nuclear plan failed. On the moon, Olivia Clark installed her stealth systems on the ships that would carry the nuclear devices. Each one was painted black to absorb light. Special materials covered their hulls to hide from radar and other sensors. Will the Draxians detect them? Admiral Bennett asked as he inspected the fleet. Not until they're very close, Olivia answered. And by then, it will be too late. Major Frank Mitchell and his team boarded their special craft. It was designed to look like debris until it attached to the Draxian flagship. Remember, Frank told his squad, our job is to take out communications and hold the command center for 15 minutes. After that, either we've won or none of it matters. His team checked their weapons one last time. They carried both human guns and captured Draxian weapons. Back on Earth, Ambassador Lisa Grant prepared for what might be her final meeting with Overseer Krell. She memorized the exact time the attack would begin so she could be ready to escape or help from inside. Be careful, President Howard told her before she left. Your life is worth more than this mission. Lisa smiled slightly. All our lives are on the line now. I'll do my part, just like everyone else. As her shuttle prepared to leave for the Draxian flagship, Lisa looked out at Earth below. Blue oceans and white clouds, green forests and brown mountains. A world worth fighting for. The countdown to Operation Thunderbolt had begun. Vincent Morris looked out the window of his private office. From the top floor of Morris Industries, he could see one of the Draxian ships hanging in the sky. Unlike most people, he did not fear that sight. He saw opportunity. Vincent had built his company by knowing when to switch sides. Now he believed Earth could not win against the Draxian forces. But perhaps he could win something for himself. The message is ready, sir, his assistant said from the doorway. Vincent nodded. Send it. Make sure it goes directly to the Draxians. The message contained everything. Operation Thunderbolt, the modified nuclear weapons, the stealth ships, Major Mitchell's boarding plan. Everything Earth had prepared in secret. They'll reward those who help them, Vincent told himself as the message was sent. I'll be the new leader of Earth under Draxian rule. On the Draxian flagship, Overseer Krell received Vincent's message. His stone-like face showed no emotion, but he moved quickly to the command center. Increase shield power, he ordered. Position defensive weapons to cover all approach vectors. The Draxian crew hurried to obey. Alerts sounded throughout all 7 ships as they prepared for the human attack. The humans believe they found a weakness in our shields, Krell told his commanders. They plan to use radiation weapons. The commanders laughed in their grinding way. Humans were so predictable. Every new species tried to fight before accepting their place. All failed eventually. Lieutenant Susan Parker monitored communications from a hidden base in Australia. Her job was to track Draxian messages and movements. She noticed a sudden increase in activity between the alien ships. "Something's wrong," she said to her team. "The Draxians are changing their defense positions. They're preparing for an attack." She immediately sent a high-priority message to Admiral Bennett. Paul Bennett was inspecting the stealth fleet one last time when the message arrived. His face grew dark as he read it. "Someone betrayed us," he told Colonel Reed. "The Draxians know we're coming." He called an emergency meeting of the Defense Council via secure video link. The news hit like a cold wave. "Do we abort?" President Howard asked. Admiral Bennett shook his head. "We can't. The Draxians will destroy us if we don't try. But we need to move now, before they fully prepare." The original plan called for the attack in 24 hours, General Martinez pointed out. "We don't have 24 hours anymore," Paul said firmly. "We launch in 2 hours. Tell all units." On the moon base, Major Frank Mitchell received the updated orders. He gathered his team quickly. "Change of plans. We move now. Someone told the Draxians were coming, so we've lost the element of surprise." His soldiers checked their equipment with calm efficiency. They had trained for this mission for weeks. Surprise would have been nice, but they would complete the mission either way. Olivia Clark rushed to prep the stealth ships ahead of schedule. "The cloaking systems aren't fully calibrated," she warned as pilots climbed aboard. "Will they work?" Admiral Bennett asked. "Maybe not as well. The Draxians might detect the ships when they get closer than we planned." "It's a risk we have to take," Paul decided. The biggest problem was Ambassador Lisa Grant. She was already on her way to the Draxian flagship for her scheduled meeting with Krell. She had no idea about the betrayal or the changed timeline. "We need to warn her," President Howard insisted. "Any message could be intercepted," Admiral Bennett said. "We'd only be confirming what the Draxians already know." "We can't just leave her there," Howard argued. Paul's face showed the weight of command. Lisa knew the risks. We all do. The mission comes first. Across Earth and the Moon, military units scrambled to launch Operation Thunderbolt 12 hours ahead of schedule. Stealth ships powered up. Nuclear devices were loaded. Defense systems prepared for possible Draxian counterattack. And aboard a shuttle approaching the Draxian flagship, Ambassador Lisa Grant prepared for what she thought was a routine meeting, unaware she was flying into a trap. Earth's desperate gamble was about to begin, but now the odds were even worse than before. Major Frank Mitchell and his team floated in space inside their stealth craft. The huge shape of the Draxian mothership grew larger in their view screen. Their small ship looked like space debris, one of many pieces floating around Earth since the aliens arrived. "Everyone check oxygen and weapons," Frank ordered. His 5 team members nodded, their faces serious behind helmet visors. They had trained for weeks, but now the real mission began. Their job was to board the mothership, disable communications, and hold position until the nuclear strike hit the other ships. 2 minutes to contact," said Jeff Adams, the pilot. "No sign they've spotted us." Frank watched as they approached a section of the Draxian ship that looked like it might be an airlock or service entrance. Olivia Clark's information suggested this was a blind spot in their sensors. Nearby, 28 other stealth ships moved toward different Draxian vessels. Each carried 3 of the special nuclear devices. They moved slowly, trying to avoid detection for as long as possible. Admiral Paul Bennett watched from the command center on the Moon. Screens showed the positions of all Earth forces. He had also ordered the main fleet to emerge from hiding behind Jupiter, hoping to create another distraction for the Draxians. First stealth ship detected, reported Colonel Reed. Draxian defense systems activating on Ship 3. Paul's jaw tightened. Order all ships to increase speed. We've lost stealth advantage. Now it's a race. Aboard the Draxian flagship, Ambassador Lisa Grant sat across from Overseer Krell. She didn't know that Operation Thunderbolt had already begun, or that the Draxians knew about the attack. Your tribute preparations are clearly inadequate, Krell was saying. Perhaps humans need a stronger reminder of the consequences of defiance. Lisa kept her face calm. We are doing everything possible to meet your demands. Our world has never organized something on this scale before. Krell's black eyes stared at her. You lie poorly, Ambassador. Even now, your forces move against us. Lisa's heart raced, but she showed nothing. I don't understand what you mean. An alarm sounded through the ship. Krell stood, his forearms moving to activate controls on the wall. It seems your attack has begun early. Not that it will help you. Lisa knew she needed to create a distraction. Her hand moved to a small device hidden in her pocket. Outside, Frank's team had reached the Draxian ship. They attached their craft to the hull and used special tools to cut through the metal. Alarms would be sounding all over the ship, but they had to keep going. We're in, Frank announced as they entered a dimly lit corridor. Move fast. Stay together. They encountered the first Draxian guards almost immediately. Energy weapons fired, filling the hallway with blue light. Frank and his team fired back, using the stolen Draxian weapons they had trained with. Admiral Bennett's fleet engaged the Draxian patrol ships, drawing attention away from the stealth craft carrying the nuclear devices. Earth fighters launched from hidden bases on the moon, joining the battle. First nuclear device in position, Colonel Reed reported. Ships 2 and 4 still trying to reach target. Paul watched the screens intently. Tell them to push through regardless of detection. We need all ships hit at once. On Earth, people watched the sky as flashes of light appeared. The battle had become visible even from the ground. Many prayed, some cried, others prepared weapons in case the Draxians reached the surface. In her meeting room, Lisa activated her hidden device. It was a small electromagnetic pulse generator designed by Sam Carter. It wouldn't harm the whole ship, but it might disable systems in her immediate area. The lights flickered and died. In the darkness, Lisa moved quickly toward the door. She had memorized the path to the nearest escape pods, but first, she needed to help Major Mitchell's team if possible. As she slipped into the corridor, an announcement echoed through the ship in the grinding Draxian language. Lisa didn't understand the words, but the urgent tone told her everything she needed to know. The first phase of humanity's desperate plan was underway. Now they just had to survive long enough to launch the second. The sky above Earth lit up with explosions as human ships clashed with Draxian vessels. Admiral Bennett's fleet had emerged from behind Jupiter, engaging the enemy to create a distraction. On the surface below, hidden defense platforms revealed themselves, rising from oceans and emerging from mountain hideouts. All defense platforms online, reported General Martinez from her command post. Nuclear weapons ready. Earth had kept these platforms secret, saving them for this moment. Now they opened fire, launching missiles toward the Draxian ships. But the Draxians were not caught completely by surprise. Their ships began firing back, sending energy beams toward major cities. The first beam hit Tokyo, destroying entire blocks in seconds. Another struck New York, cutting a path of destruction through Manhattan. People rushed to underground shelters as sirens wailed across every continent. The evacuation plans were now in full effect, but there wasn't enough time to save everyone. Inside the Draxian flagship, Major Frank Mitchell and his team fought their way toward the command center. They moved through narrow corridors, facing increasingly heavy resistance. 2 more corridors to go, Frank said it as they took cover from enemy fire. Jeff, use the grenade. Jeff tossed a special device designed by Earth scientists. It released a burst of the same radiation used in the modified nuclear weapons. The Draxian guards fell back as their personal shields flickered and failed. "Move," Frank ordered, and his team pushed forward. In another part of the ship, Ambassador Lisa Grant hurried through the darkened hallways. The small EMP device she had used disabled lights and some systems, but emergency power was already coming back on. Lisa heard footsteps behind her and ducked into a side room. 2 Draxian guards ran past. Once they were gone, she continued toward what looked like a communications center based on the maps she had studied. If she could disrupt communications between ships, it might help Earth's attack succeed. In space, the stealth ships carrying the nuclear devices had reached their targets. Despite being detected earlier than planned, most had managed to get close enough. "All ships in position," Colonel Reed informed Admiral Bennett. "Ready to detonate on your command." Paul took a deep breath. This was the moment that would decide Earth's fate. "Tell Dr. Wei to activate the devices. All of them. Now." Dr. Wei received the order in her underground lab. She and Sam Carter activated the remote detonation sequence they had designed. Sending activation codes, Sam confirmed as they worked. Detonation in 30 seconds. The modified nuclear weapons were designed to release specific radiation patterns that would overload Draxian shields. If they worked, the shields would fail for several minutes, allowing Earth's conventional weapons to damage the alien ships. If they failed, humanity would likely be destroyed. On the Draxian mothership, Frank's team finally reached the command center. They breached the door, throwing in more of the special grenades. Inside, Draxian officers fell as their shields failed. "Secure the room," Frank ordered as his team rushed in, weapons ready. He moved to what appeared to be the main communication console. Following his training, he began the sequence to disable it. They had practiced this hundreds of times on Earth using the information Lisa had gathered. Suddenly, everything around them shook violently. The first nuclear devices had detonated near the other Draxian ships. Outside, the space around Earth lit up with blinding flashes. The specialized radiation burst from the weapons washed over the Draxian vessels. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the shields around the alien ships began to flicker and fade. "It's working," Colonel Reed exclaimed, watching the sensors. "Shields down on ships 2, 5, and 6. Partial failure on the others." Admiral Bennett didn't hesitate. "All forces, attack the unshielded areas." "Everything we've got now." Earth's fleet and defense platforms opened fire with all their conventional weapons. Missiles, lasers, and railgun projectiles streaked toward the vulnerable Draxian ships. For the first time since they arrived, the mighty alien vessels began to take damage. Explosions bloomed across their hulls as Earth's weapons found their targets. The battle for humanity's freedom had reached its turning point, but it was far from over. The Draxian mothership shuddered as explosions rocked its hull. On the command deck, Major Frank Mitchell and his team held their position despite heavy resistance. They had disabled the main communication systems, but Draxian forces were trying to retake the room. "They're bringing in heavy weapons," warned Jeff Adams as he peered through the doorway. "We can't hold much longer." Frank checked his watch. They had been here for almost 12 minutes. "We only need to hold for 3 more minutes. Then we get out." Outside, 3 of the 7 Draxian ships were badly damaged. Their shields had failed completely after the radiation bursts from Earth's modified nuclear weapons. The other ships had partial shield failures but were still fighting. Admiral Paul Bennett directed Earth's fleet to focus on the flagship. "All ships target their engines. We need to prevent them from escaping." The battle had turned in Earth's favor, but victory wasn't certain yet. If even one Draxian ship escaped to warn the hegemony, Earth would face an even larger invasion force later. Ambassador Lisa Grant had reached an auxiliary control room on the flagship. Using the knowledge she had gathered during her meetings with Krell, she accessed the internal communication system. "Attention all Earth forces on this vessel," she broadcast. This is Ambassador Grant. The ship will attempt emergency jump in approximately 6 minutes. All teams must evacuate before then. In the command center, Frank heard Lisa's message. Change of plans. We need to grab what we can and get out now. His team began downloading data from Draxian systems and collecting small pieces of technology. This information would be valuable if Earth had to face the hegemony again. As they worked, Overseer Krell himself appeared in the doorway with a squad of elite guards. Frank fired his weapon, but Krell's personal shield was stronger than the others. Your species fights well, Krell said in his grinding voice, but it will not save you. On Earth, Dr. Wei and Sam Carter monitored the radiation effects on the Draxian ships. They saw the shields beginning to regenerate on some vessels. The effect is wearing off faster than we predicted, Sam said with concern. Dr. Wei nodded. We need to hit them again before the shields fully recover. They contacted Admiral Bennett with their findings. Paul made a quick decision. Deploy the reserve nuclear devices. All of them. Earth had kept some of the specialized weapons in reserve. Now all remaining devices launched toward the Draxian fleet. In space, Captain John Miller, who had first spotted the alien ships from the lunar gateway, now led a squadron of fighters attacking the flagship. He received a new mission alert. All units, break off attack. We have a rescue mission. Ambassador Grant and Major Mitchell's team need extraction. John's squadron changed course, heading for a damaged section of the flagship where they could dock and provide escape for the humans inside. In the command center, Frank faced Overseer Krell directly. The alien leader moved with surprising speed for his size, knocking aside two of Frank's team members. Your world will burn for this defiance, Krell threatened. Frank smiled slightly. Maybe, but you won't be around to see it. He activated a small device in his hand, one final modified nuclear device they had carried aboard. It wasn't powerful enough to destroy the whole ship, but in this room, it would be devastating. Everyone out, now, Frank ordered his team. They retreated through a side exit as Krell realized what was happening. The second wave of nuclear devices hit the Draxian fleet just as John Miller's squadron reached the flagship. The radiation burst once again disabled shields across all ships. Admiral Bennett gave the final order. All Earth forces, fire everything we have. Every weapon humanity possessed fired at once. Missiles, lasers, railguns, and conventional nuclear warheads struck the vulnerable Draxian vessels. One by one, the mighty ships of the Galactic hegemony began to break apart. The flagship, rocked by internal explosions from Frank's device, listed to one side as fires spread across its hull. John Miller's team successfully extracted Ambassador Grant and the surviving members of Major Mitchell's squad. As their ships pulled away from the burning flagship, they watched the final moments of Earth's battle for freedom. The message was clear. Earth would not pay tribute. Earth would not submit. Any empire that threatened humanity would face the full force of human defiance. And that defiance was nuclear.